Now, before we even get into the rockstar rapper boxer streamer situation, because that's what we're calling it now, that's the only accurate title left, I need to address something that just happened in a boxing ring in front of a live chat, and honestly, it might be the most quietly devastating thing we've seen in this entire saga, because the undisputed auntie walked in, wrapped her arms around the baby, and then on camera with the whole internet watching, said the words out loud that everybody's been typing in comment sections for 3 straight years. The Everything at Once artist is standing there in a video shoot, the Yes chorus is off to the side, the chat is going absolutely feral, and the entire foundation of the brand is quietly melting in real time under a hug. So get ready, leave a like, and I need you to say it with me. Now here's where it all falls apart. Yeah, you already know how this goes. And honestly, that might be the biggest understatement I've said on this channel all month, because what happened in that ring wasn't a face-off. It wasn't a beef. It wasn't a promo. It was something way more dangerous than any of that. It was an intervention with a live chat attached. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why the internet hasn't stopped talking about it. So let's set the table, because the context here is stacked, and every single layer makes the next one worse. Layer 1. Claressa Shields, the GOAT, the undisputed auntie T-Rex herself, is 18-0 undefeated, a champion at 154, 160, 168, 175 and heavyweight, and she is 3 weeks out from headlining State Farm Arena in Atlanta on August 15th against Kaye Scott, a 2-time world champion, live on DAZN. That's not a rumor, that's on Ticketmaster right now. State Farm Arena. Layer 2. She just came off a huge main event with Franchon Cruz DAZN back in February, and she's cutting from heavyweight down toward 160, dropped 21 pounds, and won't tell you the exact number because, and I love this, her opponent might be watching. That's a professional. That's operational security. Write that down. Layer 3. Alongside all that, Chrisean Rock is out here in the same ring mid-video shoot, talking about her rap career, her kick stream, and the fact that she does her little one too. Layer 4. On top of this, the internet is claiming $1 million kick streaming deal is in play, hot new hip-hop. And Layer 5, the one that makes this whole thing detonate. In the middle of all that supportive energy, Shields leans in and says, "Stay away from him." That's the perception. That's what the whole internet heard, the shade room. So one woman in that ring has a 20-year career, a perfect record, and an arena. And the other one has a project, or whatever we're calling it at this point, and a chat. And this is really about to be something. So leave a like if you think somebody with a 20-year undefeated career shouldn't have to explain lock-in for separate times in one conversation to somebody who says, "I'm for real," and then immediately asks what the chat is saying. Leave a like if you think the Yes chorus, the hype nodders, the camera holders, and the vibe protector standing in that corner heard that warning loud and clear and are never going to repeat it to her because their whole income depends on not repeating it. And leave a like if you think this was less of a boxing face-off and more of a documentary crew accidentally filming a family member trying to get somebody into rehab while the person keeps checking their phone. Because that's what the internet is saying, and I'm sorry, but the framing is undefeated. We are powered up. We are locked in, and unlike some people, when I say locked in, I mean it. So let's actually break this down because there's so much in this footage. The moment starts exactly how you'd expect. Hugging. Screaming. First of all, y'all know I support my girl. Shields is generous here, genuinely actually generous. She says the exact thing every big sister says. Come train with me. Come work out with me. Come eat clean with me. And she's not saying it for the first time. Listen to the language. I told her since the before last fight. Come train with me. That is a woman on invitation number 3. Maybe 4. That's a standing offer that's been sitting on read since at least 2 fight camps ago. And what does she get back? Alright, come on. When you ready. I'm for real. And here's the thing, Shields catches it. Immediately. She doesn't accept the "I'm for real." She says, and I quote, "No, when you ready to come and you for real about it." She put a verification clause on the RSVP. Do you understand what that means? That means the offer has been accepted verbally before and never honored physically. She's not being mean. She's being an adult who's been stood up. And then she gives the logistics: Atlanta training camp Friday, Saturday, Sunday. After the fight, link with me, you have my number. She provided dates. She provided a location. She provided a communication channel. In the business world, we call that removing every possible friction point from a deal. There is nothing left to negotiate. The ball is entirely in one court. And the response to all of that? Turn up the music. That's you? Yes. Okay. Then a pivot to the rap name. Then a pivot to the video shoot. Are you seeing this? Somebody handed over a fully funded, fully staffed, world championship level development program for free. And the counteroffer was call the project. And I'll just leave that there. Because look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't understand the appeal of the everything career. The everything at once artist, model, rapper, boxer, streamer, brand, content machine is genuinely the modern blueprint. Everybody's doing it. But there's a difference between diversifying and dissolving. Shields is 31 and has been doing this since she was 9. 22 years of one thing. She says it right there in the footage. I've been doing this for 20 years since I was 9. Meanwhile, the other side of that ring is doing 4 things by Thursday and none of them by Friday. And the internet has noticed. The clip where she says, "I'll be 36," while somebody else says, "I'm 31, so I'm a little experienced," and then she's a baby. Y'all don't expect her to get it right now. Man, that's not shade, that's a diagnosis with a soft voice. Have you lost it yet? Because we're just getting warmed up. Now let's talk about the moment that actually broke the internet, and let's talk about it correctly because I want to be clear about what I'm doing here. I'm telling you what people are saying, what the perception is, how the clip is being read. In the footage there's a line, "Stay away from me, you little hoe," in the auto captions, then "stay away from," then confusion about who's being talked about, then a name gets floated. And the entire internet, every repost page, every comment section, read that as one thing, the undisputed auntie telling the baby to stay away from a certain someone. That's the read. Facebook pages are literally captioning it, "Claressa told her right. She needs to stay away from Blueface." Facebook. The Shade Room ran it as seemingly advises her to stay away. And here's why that lands the way it does. It wasn't said in a diss track. It wasn't said in an interview with a journalist. It was said inside a boxing ring mid-hug by a woman who was in the middle of offering free world-class training. That's the context that makes it hit. Because you can dismiss a blog. You can dismiss a hater. You can dismiss a chat. Can you dismiss the most accomplished woman in the sport while she's holding you 3 weeks out from her own main event, taking time out of fight camp to say it to your face? Clearly not. And obviously that's exactly why it went viral instead of the hug. Now, here's where it all falls apart, because right after that moment the conversation goes somewhere that I genuinely think is the most important 40 seconds in the entire stream, and almost nobody is talking about it. The baby says, and this is close to verbatim, "When I be trying to get content, there's always something in the room trying to take away from it." And the undisputed auntie's response? 2 words. Control the narrative. And then she expands, "If you control your narrative, you really in the ring. You in the boxing. You trying to do more boxing than you can. Everybody trying to go up. They all want to bring you back down." My theories are getting more validated by the day, and just like so many other people who've been paying attention, I've been saying this exact thing for months. The problem was never the talent. The problem is that the content engine and the career engine are pointed in opposite directions. And there's this split now between people who can see that plainly and the delusional side of the fanbase who thinks every viral moment is a win. It isn't. Some viral moments are withdrawals from an account that's already overdrawn. Because here's the thesis, and I want to say it as clearly as I can. The content is now eating the career it was supposed to promote. That's it. That's the whole thing. The stream doesn't fund the dream anymore. The dream is just B-roll for the stream. And when Shields said control the narrative, she wasn't giving media training. She was telling somebody that they've outsourced their own story to a live chat and a room full of people who profit from chaos. It's the friends you made along the way. Except in this version, that's not the heartwarming ending. That's the diagnosis. Now let me talk directly to the people who came here to defend this. And I'm being real with you, if you're still here, you're probably not going to want to be after this next part. I just want to talk to you person to person for a second. No bit. No jokes. Just us. You've been told there's a project coming. How long? Be honest with yourself. Not with me, with yourself. How many times have you heard the project is coming? The music is coming. We locked in now. Watch what happens next. And how many times has the actual thing arrived on the actual date it was promised? And when it doesn't arrive, who gets blamed? The room. The haters. The people trying to take away from it. Never the calendar. Never the plan. Because there is no plan to blame. And I need you to look at what happened in that ring, because this is the part that should genuinely make you pause. A woman with a perfect professional record and world titles in 5 weight classes offered a free path. Free. Camp structure, discipline, diet, access, credibility. That's a 6-figure opportunity handed over for nothing but showing up. And it got a "when you ready" and a pivot to the video shoot. If somebody handed you the keys to the building and you said, "Let me check my chat first," what would your best friend say to you? Not your fans. Your best friend. You deserve better than being a supporting character in somebody else's content cycle. You deserve boundaries. You deserve self-respect. You deserve to be treated like an audience, not an ATM with notifications on. You have every right to protect your peace and to demand that the person you defend online protects theirs. Actually, I'm lying. I'm not being sincere. I don't think most of you are going to do any of that. I think you're going to screenshot this paragraph, get mad at the sentence you didn't finish reading, and be right back under the next stream typing, "She's finally locked in," like it's a new episode of a show you already know the ending to. Because that's the cycle. Bait, switch, repeat. And the bait is always the same word, soon. Okay, now here's where it gets even crazier, because I want to get into the theories, and there are 3 of them on the table, and one of them would genuinely earn my respect. The pivot play. The idea here is that this whole thing, the ring appearance, the hug, the coaching, the visible humility, is the setup for an actual real structured move into combat sports content. And the logic isn't stupid. Look at the numbers. Look at what the crossover boxing economy has done. The audience that pays for a fight card and the audience that watches a chaotic stream are increasingly the same audience. And Shields is standing there offering the single most valuable asset in that entire ecosystem: legitimacy. If you show up to a real camp with a real 18-0 champion and the internet sees you getting punched in the face and coming back the next day, you don't just get views, you get respect, which converts into a completely different tier of money. Likelihood? I'd say low. Not because it's a bad idea. It's the smartest thing anybody in that position could do. I just genuinely doubt the discipline infrastructure exists to survive week 1 of a real camp. But if it happens, I'll say it on camera, I'd give real credit. That's a promise. The leverage play. And this one is the business one, so lock in with me. When you're negotiating a streaming deal, and reports have floated $1 million kick agreement, News 18, your value isn't your talent. It's your inevitability. Platforms don't pay for good. They pay for unavoidable. So from the business side, every crossover moment, every ring appearance, every viral clip with a legitimate athlete is a data point in a deck that somebody's agent is emailing at 11 p.m. In terms of the platform system, exclusivity deals are structured around hours streamed, concurrent viewers, and clip virality, and a face-off with the genuine world champion feeds all 3 at once. Under this theory, that hug wasn't a friendship. It was a comp. It was market positioning. Likelihood? Medium high. Not because anybody in that ring was being fake. Shields was clearly sincere, and honestly so was the response in the moment. But sincerity and strategy can occupy the same square foot of canvas. That's how the modern industry works. Theory 3, the slow fade. This is the darkest one, and it's the one I keep landing on. Nothing happens. There's no training camp. There's no project on a real date. The clip does 40 million impressions across every repost account in America. Everybody says, "Wow, that was beautiful." And then in 3 weeks the news cycle moves to Shields versus Kaye Scott at State Farm Arena, and the other half of that ring is back to streaming at 2 a.m. with the same room, the same noise, and the same something trying to take away from it. Likelihood? Uncomfortably high. Because that's the pattern. Look at the receipts. And I don't say that with joy, okay, I say it with a little joy. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a commentator, schadenfreude is part of the job description. But mostly I say it because the pattern has never broken. Not once. Now let me stay on the business layer for a minute, because this is the part that separates us from the gossip pages. Here's what nobody tells you about combat sports as a career pivot. It is the least forgiving business in entertainment. In music, a bad album is a bad quarter. You can drop a Lucy, do a feature, hop on a remix, and reset the narrative in 6 weeks. In boxing, a bad night is a permanent line on a record that follows you until you die. Shields understands that at a molecular level. That's why she won't tell you her weight on a live stream. That's why she name-checks Danielle Perkins and calls her a monster. That's why she talks about Kaye Scott's 2 world championships with actual respect instead of trash talk. In the fight business, respect for the opponent isn't politeness, it's risk management. And her record, 18-0 with the heavyweight run and the win over Lonnie Daniels in front of 15,000 in her home state DAZN, that record is the entire product. There is no A&R who can fix a loss. Now compare that to the streaming economy. Platforms like Kick built their whole model on the opposite principle: volatility is the product. Chaos is content. The messier the room, the higher the retention. So think about what's actually being asked of somebody standing in the middle of that ring. Shields is saying eat clean, wake up, structure, discipline, control the narrative. The platform economics are saying stay unpredictable, stay online, keep the room loud, never control the narrative, because the narrative controlling itself is what pays. Those 2 business models are not compatible. They're not even in the same universe. One pays for order and the other pays for entropy. And that's the real trap. And it's why this clip is so much sadder than people realize. It's not a choice between working hard and being lazy. It's a choice between 2 different revenue structures, and the one that's currently paying the bills is the one that structurally punishes discipline. Every hour spent in a gym in Atlanta is an hour not monetized on camera. From the business side, come train with me, is asking somebody to take a voluntary pay cut for a payoff that might be 2 years out and might never come. That's the actual math. And when you understand that math, you understand why the answer was, when you ready instead of what time Friday. Have you lost it yet? Because we're heading into the close and I need you locked in. So let's total this up. The invitation was extended before the last fight, and the fight before that, and it was extended again on camera, and it will probably be extended again after August 15th, because that's who Shields is. She keeps the door open. And the plan has failed and failed and failed and failed to materialize every single time. Not from lack of an offer. Not from lack of access. Not from lack of talent, and I want to be fair here, the athleticism is real, the fearlessness is real, the charisma is genuinely undeniable. That's what makes this maddening instead of boring. So where is the plan? Where is the camp date? Where is the project date? Where is the trainer? Where is the manager? Because in that footage the line is literally, I need a trainer or a manager. That's said out loud. That's a public admission that the infrastructure doesn't exist, delivered in the presence of somebody whose entire infrastructure was standing 5 feet away in matching gear. Where is any of it? And meanwhile, the environment does not care. Shields is walking into State Farm Arena on August 15th against a 2-time world champion, on DAZN, with a walkout announcement she's teasing like a movie premiere. The whole women's boxing division is advancing. New cards, new names, new belts. The music industry is moving too. Release calendars don't pause for anybody soon. Everybody in that footage is moving. One person is positioned. There is a difference, and the internet has learned to spot it from a mile away. And I'm just here watching this play out. Genuinely. Popcorn in hand. Because the perception right now, and this is what people are saying, this is the online narrative, is that we watch somebody get handed a ladder inside a burning building and ask if the ladder was going to be on the stream. Here's my prediction and put a timestamp on it. Nothing happens before August 15th. Nothing. After the fight, there'll be a post, maybe a photo, maybe a gym clip with a caption about locking in, and the internet will lose its mind for 48 hours. And then the room gets loud again, and something in the room trying to take away from it comes back, and we're right where we started. The door stays open. Nobody walks through it. And that is the most unprecedented kind of waste, because most people never get the offer at all. Now there's a whole other side of this I didn't even touch tonight, and I have to because it's honestly the bigger story. The kick money, where it actually comes from, who actually controls that contract, and what happens to a creator's leverage when a platform owns their entire distribution. That's a whole separate video, and I already made it. You really need to see it to understand why Control the Narrative was the most expensive piece of advice given away for free in 2026, and why the person who needs it most is structurally the least able to take it. So check out the video on your end screen right now. Watch it, come back, and tell me I'm wrong in the comments. You won't, but I'd love to read the attempt. Auntie said stay away. The chat said turn up the music. You already know how this goes. I'm out.